is going on, young preacher? We're back at it again. We got a new video for you, and you gotta check it out. It's gonna be dope. We're back with Dr. Jeffrey Arthurs, and he's giving his 5 tips. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 tips to preaching greatness. You gotta check out this video. As we always say, roll intro.
Well, how do you put a sermon together? If you reduce it to its essence, step 1, step 2, what's the process actually look like? Let me give you a real stripped down version, a real quick study in homiletics of putting a sermon together. I'm assuming that you're an expository preacher, meaning you're not just going to make up the message, sort of an inspirational talk, but you want to say what God has said in the text. That's the approach I take. All right, step 1 then would be study the text. That's a big topic. You got all your, things like what's the context of your passage, what do the words mean, word studies, figures of speech, if it's poetry, grammar and syntax, cultural background, all that stuff. Study the text. Then you come up out of the forest, out of the trees where you have all these details, and you have to look at the 30,000 foot view, and we call that state the main idea. So you know the meaning of this word and this cultural practice and the context of John 14 and this and all these Bible facts. Now come on back, pull the camera back. What's the author saying? What's the big idea? You might want to think of this second step as what's the author talking about? Faith, or what is he saying about what he's talking about? What about faith? Faith is the gift of God. Okay. Or faith is the counterpart of works. Well, that's a different idea, isn't it? Faith comes through the preaching of the Word of God. Well, that's another idea. So we call that the subject and the complement, the theme, and what's he saying about that. All right, step 1 is study. Step 2 is pull the camera back, state the main idea. Step 3, make that main idea the main idea of your sermon. You might want to rephrase it, maybe make it a little catchier, maybe a little shorter, but that becomes sort of your central idea. Haddon Robinson calls it the big idea. Step 4, decide how you're going to arrange or outline or package the sermon. Like where do you actually say that big idea? Is it at the beginning? Is it at the end? Are there points like a good old outline, Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2? Or are you going to do more of a narrative sermon? It flows like a story. But decide how you'll package it. Introduction, body, conclusion. And then I would say one final step would be to practice your delivery. The nonverbal element, what we sound like, what we look like, it's huge. It's huge in oral communication. So make sure that you are not contradicting the verbal message, but you're complementing it. Smile, energy, stand up straight, gestures, all that kind of stuff. So what do we have? Study the text, reduce or summarize the text to one main idea, make that your preaching idea. You might want to reword it a little bit. Organize the message, practice your delivery. Give it a try.
Well, that's all we had for today's episode. 5 steps towards preaching greatness. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeffrey Arthurs. And if you're watching, you better share this with a friend. Man, I hope you feel inspired, encouraged, and empowered to try a new thing, a new tool to step up your preaching game. Young preacher, I love you. Dr. Jeffrey Arthurs, I love you. So much fun. Till next time.